capillaries have walls which are only 1 cell thick and allow gases to diffuse across them. The same happens with carbon dioxide, CO2. The blood in surrounding capillaries has a higher concentration of CO2 than the inspired air being inhaled due to it being a waste product of energy production. Therefore, CO2 diffuses the other way from the capillaries into the alveoli where it can then be exhaled. Process of inspiration. Firstly, the external intercostal muscles contract, which causes the ribs and sternum to move up and out. The width of the thorax increases front to back and side to side. Diaphragm contracts and moves down so it flattens. Depth of the thorax then increases from top to bottom, so the volume of the thorax increases. This causes the pressure between the pleural surfaces to decrease. The lungs then expand to fill the thoracic cavity. The air pressure in the alveoli is less than the atmospheric pressure, so air is forced in by the higher external atmospheric pressure. As the lungs fill with air, the stretch receptors send impulses to the expiratory part of the respiration centre to end breathing in. Process of expiration. The external intercostal muscles causing the ribs and sternum to move down and in. The width of the thorax decreases front to back and from side to side. The diaphragm relaxes and moves up, causing the depth of the thorax to decrease from top to bottom. The volume of the thorax then decreases and pressure between the pleural surfaces increases. Lung tissue recalls from the sides of the thoracic cavity, and air pressure in the alveoli is more than atmospheric pressure, causing air to be forced out. As the air leaves, the stretch receptors are no longer stimulated. The inhibition of breathing in via the expiratory part of the centre stops, so breathing in can start again. Lung volumes. Lung volume is the percentage of air that lungs can hold at any given time. This differs from person to person. The average person can retain 6.3 quarts, which is 6 litres of air in their lungs at any one time. The capacity of the lungs that is needed for regular breathing uses a very small proportion of this, however. Tidal volume. This is the type of breathing done by humans. The type of breathing done by humans is known as tidal breathing. What this means is that when air is breathed into the body, it enters the lungs in the same way as it exits the lungs. Sometimes this is called tidal volume. Another aspect of tidal breathing is the fact that it's involuntary. This means that there is no conscious effort involved in tidal breathing. Vital capacity. This is the maximum amount of air that a person can expel from the lungs after first filling the lungs to their maximum capacity. Residual volume. This is the amount of gas remaining in the lungs after maximal expiratory effort. Control of breathing. Our breathing is controlled by the respiratory centre. This is an area located in the brainstem found between the spinal cord and the upper brain. It controls both the depth and rate of breathing and does this through neural and chemical control. Neural control. Usually, the respiratory centre sends nerve impulses to the diaphragm and external intercostal muscles, causing them to contract and air to be inspired. After approximately 2 seconds, the respiratory centre stops sending impulses, causing the intercostals and diaphragm to relax and air to be expired. When breathing is controlled like this, it's called neural control. Chemical control. This relies on the sensory organs in the brain, the aorta and the carotid arteries, which are the main blood vessels supplying the head and neck. These monitor blood and can sense oxygen and carbon dioxide levels. This allows the brain to adjust the range and depth of breathing accordingly. Normally, an increased concentration is the strongest stimulus to breathe more deeply and frequently. This happens, for example, during exercise. Conversely, when the carbon dioxide concentration in the blood is low, the brain decreases the depth and frequency of breaths. During breathing at rest, the average adult inhales and exhales about 12 to 15 times a minute. That's it.
Brilliant.